Is it today or tomorrow that it's the only 2 mod class?
I don't know. Okay, just a reminder, there's a deviant behavior online exam that I think I said was due Friday, right? Everything's due Friday, okay. We're gonna talk about, you will learn in this class, before the year is done, you will learn the difference between race and ethnicity. Do any of you think you know the difference? What's the difference between race and ethnicity?
Ethnicity is like culture.
It has something to do with culture. Good. Doesn't race have something to do with culture?
No, race is physical appearance.
Race has something to do with physical attributes. Very good. Okay, so we need to know. Yeah, very good. So race has something to do with physical differences, whereas ethnicity has something to do with cultural differences. This will make sense in a bit. So 2 fairly odd cartoons here. This sign says no food or drinks allowed, and the food and drinks are calling them bigots. I liked it. And then this guy says, hi, I'm a triangle. Look how friendly the triangle is. But the circle says, I hate triangles. Racist. He's an anti-triangulite. Okay. Definition of race. There it is. Remember, all these slides are available to you. A race is a group of people set apart because of physical differences that have taken on more meaning. How many of you have ever heard something like this from a relative? I'm not racist. I don't even see blacks or whites. They're just people. Black is just a skin color, right? It sound familiar to anybody? And I'm here to tell you, Pshaw, and again I say Pshaw, Miss Blargen, my favorite. Did you have Miss Blargen? I loved her. I love her. She's the best. Anyway, were you fans of Miss Blargen? Yes. Like, no? Oh my God. I used to teach down there, and so I had, let's see, I don't even know who has that word down.
I think we heard from the elementary school.
You heard, I get it. All right. Anyway, and any of you who had Miss Blargen know that she's sort of wound tight. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So I used to go to her room, and of course she'd be correcting a million papers, right? Stacks this high. And I'd say, Miss Blargen, I'm here to help you. And I'd bring the garbage can over, and I'd push the whole pile into the garbage can, and then I'd walk it. Oh yeah, she of course lost her mind.
How would you do that?
Because she needs to relax, man. Relax.
She really does.
I would used to send students to her room and just ask for a piece of tape. Yeah, Mr. Potter needs a piece of tape about this thing. And I hear from my room, get out of my room! Okay, anyway, so my point here is this, all right? Is black just a skin color? I mean, it is a skin color. However, it has taken on social significance. American laws were based on that skin color, right? If you were that skin color, you were a slave. So yes, initially it's a physical difference, but human history has added meaning to it. Schools were segregated in America based on skin color. If you were from Asia, physical differences mattered. Oh, you're from that part of the world. Well, you're not welcome here. Well, what was that based on? Your physical appearance. How your eyes looked, how tall you were, what was the color of your skin, what was the color of your hair? Can we tell you apart from everyone else? If the answer is yes, race. Okay, question? Oh, you just got shit. Okay. So as an example, right? Whites, blacks, Asian Americans, Hispanics. Those are races. We are now looking at a map of the US, and I want you to try and figure out what we're looking at here. I mean, yeah, I know it's a map of the US. But what are these purplish things? Anyone know? The largest purplish thing is right there. It overlaps the 4 corners. By the way, the only spot in the nation where you can, with 4 limbs, be in 4 different states, right? Any of you been in?
I've seen tons of videos.
Funny story about that spot. Up until GPS existed, it was in the wrong spot. because they have it marked. There's a big metal thing right there, and it's got a cross and a cross, and it says, "Here lies the four corners thing." And they realized once they invented GPS that it was about a mile in the wrong spot, so they didn't move it.
Darn.
Anyway, anyone know what we're looking at? The largest one of them is in this one right here. Yeah. No one? Yes. Very good. Native American reservations. All right, very good. You'll notice how few of them there are to the east. And then once we hit the Mississippi River, wow. Yes.
Why are there green spots?
I don't know what that means.
Oh.
I don't know what green means. So what I'm trying to tell you is that sometimes history dictates whether or not a race exists. That there's nothing biological about race. Race can exist because people decide it's a race. As an example, I introduced to you Native Americans or Indians, right? They were a race, and then they weren't a race, and then they were a race, right? I will exemplify what I'm talking about here. So in the 1800s, the United States government came up with this idea, which I wouldn't call great, but it's better than what the Germans did with the Jews, right? The Germans didn't say, well, why don't you just live over there? Well, actually, they did, but then they came up with another idea, which I'm fairly certain you all know what I'm talking about here, okay? And so Native Americans were asked to move to the purple areas, which means they had to give up control of land that was part of their history, part of their culture. Land that might have oil in it or gold, but for them was more culturally based. It's where their ancestors lived, and they had to give it up. Right? So then they had to move to these purplish areas. Another example is if you, let me ask this, how black are you? How black are you? Okay. Or another way is how Jewish are you? Where's my arrows? There it is. Okay. In the US, if you were, this is you, and we'll always put father on the top of the bracket and mother on the lower part of the bracket. So this is dad, mom. This is your maternal grandfather, maternal grandmother. That's your grandma. No, this is your great grandfather, your great grandmother, right? You follow me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Biologically, all of you have had 8 great grandparents, 4 grandparents, and 2 parents, and then you. I'm talking biologically. I realize that some of you are like, oh yeah, well I have 10 grandparents. Okay, fine. I'm not talking about through laws or anything. I'm talking pure biology. Pure biology, everyone looks like this, okay? In the United States, if this person, just this person, was black.
Please excuse the interruption. Blake, Comro, Jorgensen to the office, please. Blake to the office. Thank you.
And everyone else was white in this line. Black, white. That would make this person half black. Yep. That would make this person 1/4 black. And that would make you 1/8 black. You understand? In the US, you were black. See that plantation over there? Welcome to slavery. If you were 1/8 black or more, you were black. Just to give you an idea of what the Germans did, change the B to J, Jewish. So these numbers will change. Okay. Let's see. This was I'm going the wrong one. There we go. Okay, this person, Jew. If I did all these lines, I would draw 64 lines. 64 lines. And I'll just put NJ, not a Jew. Jew, not a Jew. 63 of your great great grandparents, great 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 grandparents. 63 of your 64 are not Jewish. 1 is Jewish. 1. That would make this person half Jewish, 4th Jewish, 1/8 Jewish, 1/16 Jewish, 1/32 Jewish, which would make you 1/64 Jewish. In Germany, if you were 1/64 Jewish or more, why don't you get on that train? You're a Jew. Okay. Now, a good question would be, how did they know? How could you possibly know this information? Good question. Stay tuned. Yes, dear.
Also, isn't being Jewish just a religion?
Very good. So what you are identifying again is sort of what I'm trying to get across, and that is race is an invention. The Germans invented the idea that if you're half Jewish, your kid is 1/4 Jewish. Any of you Catholic? Any Catholics in here? Do you know what religion you are? What religion are you? You're Lutheran. Well, that means your kid's going to be half Lutheran, right? Nope. Your kid doesn't become half Lutheran because you're full Lutheran. It's a choice, right? Religion's a choice, but that's not what the Germans did. The Germans invented the idea that Jews are race. They invented it. But I'm trying to get across to you, all race is invented. All race is invented. Indian is an invention. It's an invention. Okay. 100 years ago, well, a little bit more than 100 years ago, you Irish or you Italian, anybody Irish in here? This is a pretty dominant Irish area, yeah. You were not considered white. Not back then. You weren't white. Now they've joined the white team. They're now considered white. And if history proves to be prophetic, there's a group today that is not white that 100 years from now will be on the white team. Because we white people bring people in. Come on in. Maybe Middle Easterners, maybe Arabs will be considered white, and there will be a new them. Am I getting the point across here? That race is an invention. We invent who's white through changes in history. It evolves. Go ahead.
So like 100 years ago, I wouldn't have been white. I would have just been Irish.
You would be a dirty Irish person stealing my job.
But
You would have been one of them immigrants. They took their jobs.
okay.
They took their jobs.
So being white really isn't more of a skin color. It's more of a acceptance into a group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Great.
So we-
Kind of exemplified by this statement right here. It's the group in power that defines who's let into the group in power. You're let in or you are excluded. Race is an invention. Okay. A little bit more here. I hope you're finding this somewhat interesting. How many of you have seen anything like this before? Looks familiar to you? You recognize it?
I mean, I've seen the chart before. I haven't. Oh no, never mind. I've seen this.
Very good. So this is the very organized flow chart that the Germans used to identify who was in their camps. So down the side you'll notice everybody in this column has a triangle. What does that mean? Well, that means you are a political enemy. What that means is you're a communist. The Germans hated the communists. So if you were a communist, you're in this column, you get a red triangle, upside down triangle. This is if you are a criminal. This is if you are an immigrant. This is if you are one of these people called Jehovah's Witnesses. Gay. Being gay was a crime in Nazi Germany. Asocials. Asocials were, you are weird. You are a weird person. Okay?
Just weird, like.
And then a group called gypsies. There are your columns. And then going across, were you a repeat offender? Were you really weird a lot? Then you're a repeat weirdo. The black dot represents something called inmates of penal battalions. Were you captured by the military? You got that black dot. Were you a Jew? You got the yellow star. So a Jewish communist a Jewish criminal, a Jewish immigrant. Look how organized they are. My good, what the saying was in Berlin, the trains ran on time. Great job, Germany. But
Wait, so for like repeaters, what? Like if you're already marked, they catch you being a communist again.
yeah,
How
I'm
does
not
that-
sure. I'm not sure what that is. My point here
Right?
is that the Germans were really very, very organized. They codified race. They became obsessed with it. And in a way, it's the opposite of the United States, where we like to try and argue, ideally, it doesn't matter what race you are. Who cares? Right? Black people can marry white people, and you can marry an Indian, you can marry Asian. Who cares? But oh boy, did they codify things here. Oh, no. You're this category. You belong there. That's it. You're there. So you get that star. You'll notice, by the way, any of you students of religion, what are we looking at here? What are those
Star of
stars?
David.
Star of David, the Jewish symbol. Right? They did that intentionally.
What is special markings? Jewish.
Where do you see that?
The bottom.
Oh, just other qualifiers.
Okay.
What if you were a female and you got mixed up
So
with a person of
what
different race?
counted as being weird? Did they just decide what was weird, and that was
Asocial.
like to every other
Lowers.
person?
Yeah, I mean,
Anyone else
teachers.
they
I
wanted
mean, we
to
do
throw in
that
there?
in the school, right? We have people who do not socialize. You do not intermix. Well, I mean, sometimes that's a red flag. Like, what's going on? Why aren't you talking to anybody? And it might be signs of depression or other things. Okay. One more. So, of course, you recognize Adolf there. Does anyone recognize that guy?
That's his general, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
What's his
one of
name?
the big dogs.
That's his name.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
I did like a presentation on it in like 8th grade.
That's Himmler. That's Himmler. He was the mastermind of this stuff. Okay, and there's a definition. This is our last slide, and then we're going to shift to something else. There's a definition here you need to be responsible for, and that is this thing called ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is the belief that your group is better than the other group. Right? So much of American history and world history is based on the belief that my team is better than your team. Yeah, like nationalism, but more specific, right? It's more specific in that, right? I'm an American, you're an American, we've got some Asian people in here, some African American. My group of Americans is better. I'm going to acknowledge that you people that aren't white in here, I'm going to acknowledge you're American, but you're not as American. Right? I'm more better than you. More better. Okay. Prejudice, we're going to go with a negative definition. Technically, prejudice could be a positive, right? When you say something like this, there was a student when I was in high school, his name was Sitcha Kya. He was Korean. And as soon as he joined our class late. As soon as he joined our class, everyone was like, oh my God, he's going to be good at math. He has to be, right? He's Asian. Asians are good at math. I liked him a lot. He was not good at math. He was not good at math. And it didn't fit the stereotype. Is it bad to have a positive stereotype about a group? Say like, gosh, Mexicans are good at putting up roofs. And man, black people are good at basketball. Right? Those are positive stereotypes. And they're as stupid as any other stereotype. What I'm trying to say though is for this class, we're going to go with negative stereotypes. That Indians drink alcohol, and blacks are criminals, and Mexicans are gang. Okay? We're going to stick with the negative stereotype as far as this class. Of course, you can have positive stereotypes. Girls are just better at calming everything down. That's a stereotype. But it's a positive stereotype. Not to say that that's okay, but we're just going to stick with the negative stereotype. Think of those stereotypes that you believe. And then racism, which is very similar to ethnocentrism. It's the belief that my race is superior.
That's like white supremacy.
Exactly. White supremacy. Yep. Okay. Okay, take a 2-minute break here, stand, stretch. We're gonna engage in some interesting, we're gonna get you to think a little bit about race and culture and stuff like that.